Panelists for discussions are Ms. Richa Sethi, Vice President HR at Coforge, Ms. Anmol Reen Jalota, Head of Digital CTO at Signify, Ms. Sheetal Prateek, Director Engineering at NetWest Group, Ms. Swastika Johri, CDO at Varun Beverages, Ms. Vibha Sareen Prabhakar, Chief Experience Officer at Shriram Auto Mall. Please welcome them. To moderate this session, I would like to invite Ms. Sweetie Natwani, our Senior Director and Head of Partnership at Alliances at Happy.
Am I audible? Yes. Good evening, everyone. And how's the Josh? Great to see this really power-packed session with Smriti. And now we are with our panelists, and really delighted to have you all here. So I'll just start with our panel discussion, and to begin with, so good evening, everyone. I'm Sweetie Natwani, Senior Director at Happy, moderating this panel. I'm delighted to welcome you all for this exciting panel discussion, from adopters to innovators, women's growing influence in this tech landscape. Today, we are honored to have with us an exceptional lineup of panelists who are leaders and trailblazer in their respective fields. Their insight and experience will undoubtedly inspire and enlighten all of us. So to start with, we have identified few questions. What we understand, women can make use of technology and how they can ease out their life, not only for themselves, but even for the organization, and how it is helping technology to women, right? So to start with, my first question to Ms. Sheetal Prateek and Swastika Johri. What are the main barriers preventing women in India from accessing and effectively using new technologies? How can these barriers be overcome? If you can just throw some light on these, this particular question will be really great.
Thanks, Sweetie, and thanks, Happy, for having us. So let me break this entire adoption of new technologies into three parts and the barriers. First part is your nest, where a woman is born and nurtured. Second part is your education system and the world, where you learn. And the third part is your career, where you eventually land. So the barriers are majorly in the first part and in the last part. And I have my mom here also, because I want to speak about certain things I wanted to hear. So I am two sisters. My mom has been from education. My grandmother was running an institution. My great-grandmother was a professor. So I never learned that there's something a woman cannot do. She's been taking all the financial decisions, all the investment decisions. And but when I landed into the career, so when I entered the college, right? So technology was something which was very intuitive to us, organic to us, because we were two sisters. If anything is not working, my father would take our help. But when I landed into the careers learning zone, right, college, all the resources are available. When the resources are available, they don't tell you that this is only for women or for men. The technological resources in the college, school, everywhere is available to everybody. Then you land into the career. So I'm going back to the first part, where is the nest. Usually what happens, not everybody is lucky, where you are intuitively encouraged in your nest that you can adopt technology. So I have a son and a daughter, and some of my relatives said that, why don't you put your daughter in dance class? They'll never suggest a dance class for my son, and they'll never suggest a robotics class for my daughter. And I have put my daughter for a robotics class, and she's doing very well. So, these kinds of biases which I've heard, where you are designed not to do, and then you are never confident to adopt technology. Coming back to the career part, where the moment you land, in most of the parts I was asked, in most of the organizations, we have to do a party. So if there's a party, if there's a gathering, it's the woman, but if it is complex technological solutions, it's men. So again, you are biased and you're not giving those trust. If men does a mistake, if men do a mistake, then they support you, they allow you experimentation, but if women do a mistake on the first chance, they are judged and they're told to be incompetent and not given a second chance. So allowing a woman to be doing experimentation, because technology means experimentation, it means support from everybody in the organization. So I'll just conclude it here.
Yeah, so I'll add to Smriti's point. So I've also, Sheetal's point. So I've also grown up, I will call myself and Sheetal privileged to be, not gender biased by our parents, yeah, because I've grown with 3 brothers, yeah, and I was like always in the house chores or whatever, I always demanded that I should be treated equally. If I am doing jhadu, he has to do pocha. So it was absolutely, divided. But if you look at, really India as a whole, still, from a career perspective, from even household perspective, there are too many differences between a metro and a rural, right? Rural still has those patriarchy, thoughts. Females are not given access to devices. They are, expected to do household work before, getting into even, looking at smartphone, or looking at tech devices, gadgets. They don't have access to that. We are privileged and we do have access to those stuff. People don't judge us in terms of, even we are married, we don't, get into the kitchen. People don't judge us, yeah. But rural still has those barriers in career, in households, wherever you go, yeah. So I think those barriers are still to be broken, not so much so in the metros and big cities, but yeah, these are the barriers still there. In your career, there is sexual harassment, sexism. People even, for example, if there is a position and there is a diversity position, yeah, your male colleagues will say, okay, this either they are capable or not, they'll get the position. They treat it like that. Diversity position means incapable women coming and taking the position, which is not true, right? People first look at the capability and then, decide whether it's a diversity position or not. Then they decide the person whether he or she is fit or not. So these are some barriers still there, and we need to work towards it. We need to be, we need to drive the advocacy in our workplaces to, break those barriers as women leaders. Yeah.
Great, absolutely, Sheetal and Swastika. And as you mentioned that, rural and non-rural, the study says that 56% of women, they still don't have access. They don't even have their own device. They use their husband's kids' mobile phone. I feel all of us are in this room are really privileged, yeah, to have access to technology, and we can impart to our organization as well as to our family. So I really I completely second your thought on the same. So moving on to the second question, I would request Anmol and Vibha to share your personal story or example of how the technology you have adopted have positively impacted your organization.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. And I think we've spoken a lot about how women need to, take a step forward. And so let's go back to the topic which is very, very important, technology, which is, I believe, the same for men and women. When you go to a corporate world, when you're adopting technology, and in fact, we had this discussion when we were kind of prepping for this, technology does not discriminate. It's not like for a man, Python is different, and for a woman, Python is different. It's same, right? So when I say that technology, so somewhere, if you ask me, I don't even relate to the question, because when you ask me how as a woman technology helps your organization, that's not the right question. How does technology help your organization, period? Women, no women, doesn't matter. So I can tell you what technology has done to my organization, right? There are multiple areas. So now I come from a digital background, digital or IT, whatever we call it, digital. Of course, Swastika was explaining, digital is now people go the digital route because IT at some point in time was computers. Now it gets associated with infrastructure, with cyber and everything else, and all the programming, all the transformations that we do, all the cool apps that we make is now digital. It's not IT anymore, let's put it that way. But I'll be a little more conservative and I'll say IT digital is the same for me at the end of the day, as long as you understand the purpose. The purpose is that you want to make things more efficient for an organization. We are all in it for money, nothing else. Right? Every organization is there to make money. When you say you want to make money, there are certain ways you do your business. We could come from a small shop. We could be running a huge business. We could be representing organizations which have a worldwide presence. Technology is the pathway or a stepping stone that will help you get a better share in the market that will eventually lead to more profits. What has my organization done? I think like all of your organizations, I can name multiple tools that we've implemented. I can name multiple automations that we have done, which has impacted my organ or your organizations. I will not go there. What I'll say is that as people who come from the digital or a technology background, we understand that things need to change. There needs to be a digital transformation in every area today. Right? If today I am doing manually 10 things, I have to go back to my business people to be able to support them and say, listen, I can create a bot for you. This bot, anything that you're taking 10 hours to do on a weekly basis, my bot will take 10 minutes, you save that manpower. You use that manpower to innovate, you use that manpower to do 10 different things which are more. I'll tell you what my company just did. So about 3 years ago, we went into DevOps. Most of you understand that, where we brought in development and operations together. We said one team which will do both. Then we realized the model doesn't work. And there are a lot of people who will not agree with me. But it does not work. And I'll tell you why. If I have a global organization where I have people sitting from US, Netherlands, these are experienced people with 20, 25 years of experience who are developing, but who are also doing tickets for me. Which means I'm getting people who I'm paying, say, 150K a year to solve tickets. So we broke down DevOps. We said, take operations outside, give them to outsource it to somebody in India. Junior resources, you save a hell lot of money. That's what technology is doing to us. I'm building a team where I say AI, buzzword. Sorry, I'll take 1 more minute. AI is the buzzword. We forget what AI is. AI is not, we talk about sustainability, we talk about AI. The two of them cannot go hand in hand. The more you use AI, the less sustainable you are. Your algorithms, everything will kill you. So how do we know to balance? That's technology for you. So it's not about my tools, it's not about whether I'm using Java or I'm using Python or I'm using .NET or the newest AEMs and all of that. It's about how I bring in the latest in the market to benefit my customers, not at the cost of this world, the earth. We look at global warming, we feel it. Every day it's raining, it's not raining. I'm a sinus patient, and when I'm talking, maybe I don't know if you can feel, you will feel my voice modulation will change. My sinus is flaring up every day because one day it rains, one day it doesn't rain. One day we are sitting in the AC, the second day I was sitting there, I was telling Swastika, somebody turn this off, it's so cold. So what I'm saying is let's understand what technology can do to the world, but let's also understand what as humans, we need to safeguard this earth for our kids. I think that's the best use of technology. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's how I feel.
Thank you, Amol and Anmol. And really your answer says a lot of things. And so Vibha, I will just, reread this question. It is not about women adopting technology, but you as a woman leader, when you get an opportunity, how it is positively impacting your organization. So if you can just, help, the audience know more about it.
Very good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah. Great, it's wonderful to be here in a room full of women professionals under the same roof on a Friday evening. Pleasure to be here. And Anmol answered a lot of points that I wanted to make. So I'll pick it up from where Sweetie asked me to give an example, my own story. I think you'll be able to relate to it, where technological initiative was taken up, and as a woman leader, how I could contribute to it to break the norm and storm the norm of, the notion that women are not very advanced in technologies. I think that the fundamental background stems from not being participative in the STEM fields itself since the beginning, when a girl child is not much encouraged or has her own mindset, fixed mindset, where science, technology, engineering or manufacturing fields are not taken up as the first preference. I think that's the first step that we need to change and encourage the girls to take up these subjects. So I'm a professional in digital marketing and digital business transformation, and I was lucky to get hired for a new role, which was to work very closely with the technology department to enhance the CRM, since I had the customer experience piece as well as marketing and branding. So there was an idea that was initiated where we tied up with academia, IIT Delhi, to develop a tool. So I'm into pre-owned vehicles and equipment industry, sale and purchase of pre-owned vehicles and equipment. And the key decision point for any customer to buy a pre-owned vehicle is the price point. So we had about 13 years of data and analytics, where how can we predict and help the customer to bid for the closest price points. So we tied up with IIT Delhi, and I am leading the core team along with the technology department, where we are taking their help to enhance our tool, which is inbuilt through AI and data analytics, and come up with a solution where on a click of a button, a customer can predict the price and bid and get the best price. So keeping the customer in mind, and I also come from the banking background, which has adopted technology to the best way, and it is the fastest industry to embrace technology always, right? So taking all those learnings, I have tried to replicate in the auto industry, keeping the customer in mind, the benefit to the customer, the efficiency, improving the processes, because at the end, the business exists because of the customers, and if the customers are happy, business will make the profits. So that's how technology is helping, and the mindsets are changing in the organization, where we look at improving the processes by the use of better technologies.
Absolutely, totally agree and in sync with that, and really appreciative about that how technology, especially in automobile space, that you have tried and implement. It's really very great to know. Thank you. So next question to Richa and Swastika, to both of you, that how important is digital literacy and training in ensuring women can take full advantage of new technology? Especially Richa, you being in HR, I'm sure you will be able to relate to this and help us throw more light on this particular question.
Okay, so here is one thing I want to tell everyone here. Every time you use the word women leaders, think how many times do you use the word men leaders? Okay, if we don't use that, let's stop calling ourselves women leaders. Let's call ourselves leaders who are women and leaders who are men, if we have to differentiate that is, okay? So that's my first request. And there is a reason I'm saying that. A lot of times we land up creating these biases in our own mind without realizing we're doing that. Okay, so we are leaders. Men, women, third gender, LGBTQAI, whatever. We're leaders. Okay, we'll start with that as a paradigm. I think your question's really interesting. Digital literacy, I think, forms the basis of everything that we do. We can only dabble into technology when you're literate, right? It's like, if you want to do your master's, you better have done your schooling, right? So it starts from that. And I think technology is a very good leveler. It is a level playing field for everyone. You were talking about a very interesting statistic about equality. World Economic Forum says it's 131 years before you will have a 50-50% gender ratio at work. A couple of things that we can do, and I think how that helps us. One is, I think you alluded to really well, can we get more women in STEM? Because that becomes the base. If we've got a pyramid structure, and in that pyramid, we are only tackling the top leadership, we'll never solve the problem. We gotta increase the funnel or the base. So how is it that we make STEM lucrative? If we turn it into a dark room coding tool, it might not attract everyone, right? So sometimes we just gotta make it more attractive for people across genders, across nationalities, across capabilities to embrace literacy. How that helps us is something as simple as financial freedom. Your ability to, the 3 M's we talked about, the fact that you can afford a maid is because you're financially stable to do that, right? And I'll give a small example. One of the portfolios in my previous organization I used to lead was in the space of CSR. And we did a program on building women entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs in villages around our office space. So what we did was, we said we're going to give you seed money, 10 to 15,000 rupees, not much, but we actually tagged an NGO with them to say, hey, for the next 2 years, you're going to handhold them, teach them how to make money, get a bank account for them, teach them banking, teach them marketing. There are people now sitting on Insta and they're making money. A woman who's never worked and she crafts jewelry and she's now on Insta. The other day she called me up and she said, Didi, aap Insta pe aoge, please. I want you to follow me. Now it could be something as simple as that. To another woman who I asked a simple question saying, hey, how has this changed your life? And she's a person who's got a sewing setup. So I'm not even talking about corporate worlds right now. She's got a sewing center. She has a business card now. Okay, and then she has an account where people can take online orders. She's created her own setup. She said, "Ab pehli baar." I don't know if anyone here doesn't understand Hindi. I can translate it for you, but I think the emotion comes out in Hindi. So she says, "Didi, pehli baar, ghar mein ab meri awaaz suni jati hai. Now I am part of decision making." And I think that's where digital literacy comes in. They have bank accounts. They now hold a stance to say, this is how much I bring to the table. This is how much I'm going to save. This is where I want to invest my saving in. So those are small things that you can do to actually create that digital literacy. We talked about coding, and I think IT industry can't live without it. There's a brilliant survey that was done which said that, if your coders are not inclusive, your solutions won't be inclusive. So if it's an all men group coding, your solution will not keep the actual macrocosm of who you're attacking, which is your customer base. You need women, you need people with disability. Look at dubbed movies. A lot of dubbed movies will not have characters that are in sync with actual people. Because we haven't tapped into that field. Right? So that element of digital literacy that we're talking about, I think is the bedrock for the way we operate. I don't think, while we call ourselves privileged, rightfully so, we wake up to Alexa and end with Alexa, right? Or end with Netflix, depending on whatever subscriptions are. So I think internet's taken over our world quite a lot. Help that woman get educated, help that man get educated. But at the end of the day, those are the things: empowerment, financial inclusion, trying to look at ways in which when a woman gets educated or is digitally literate, very likely the kids will be too. Very likely. So it's actually creating that ecosystem. And I'll give HR examples later, but I think this was more my heart talking.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I totally, sorry, agree to your point. The digital literacy is the base. Yeah, for anyone to survive these days, you need to be digitally literate. Right from your, of course, Facebook days are gone. Now everybody is on Insta. I mean, I talk to my maid, they are like swiping reels, and I mean, it's gone absolutely, out of the roof. When we talk about, especially in India, that rate of, digital literacy is still not there. I've seen people coming from US who are not so digitally savvy. Yeah, maybe because our data prices and are very low, and hence they are not so digitally savvy. But even our rickshawalas and autowalas are so digitally literate these days. They run smartphone like even a kid of 6 months is so well adept to how to run a particular app, or even figure out what is in the phone, how you take panoramic photographs and stuff like that. So they are pretty digitally literate from that perspective. And definitely, I mean, when we talk about women in rural, of course, because of the lack of device and lack of financial, because of financial not being independent, they are still not able to leverage technology to that extent. But yeah, I mean, literacy, digital literacy is the base for everybody.
Absolutely, Swastika. And I would just like to say thank you so much, Swastika, not being well and still managed to make it. So really appreciate your efforts. And Richa, I must say that you nailed it when you made that statement, like you shared in Hindi, because now I have a decision in my house, and what we see is technology has contributed a lot in this case. It is available for everyone, but when it is impacting women, we really feel good that it is helping them stand up for themselves. Yeah, thank you. With this, we'll move on to our next question, and that goes to Anmol, Swastika, and Sheetal. In what ways can technology foster entrepreneurship among women in India? I'm sorry, it is women's seminar, so I keep talking about women. Yeah. So, yes.
Now, she only talked about women
Leaders, yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
But I think what you're asking now is something that Richa has already
Already
spoken.
asked.
Yes,
Absolutely
absolutely.
spoken,
Yes.
and I think there's nothing better that we can talk about.
Yes.
Because, and she's right, there are women, I've got friends myself now, of course we're tech savvy, like everybody talked about it, and I wasn't. About a couple of years ago, I didn't know how to use Insta, and it's a true story. So somebody posted something to one of my friends, and there was a big row. She got this message from someone, and they said, you don't have a private account or a public account. It took me an hour to understand there's a private account and there's a public account. So sometimes digital literacy is not just for the underprivileged, as we call them. It's also people like us. I mean, my daughter knows a lot more than I do. I didn't know we could post, and then it goes out in 24 hours, and then you have a post which stays. But how do you become entrepreneurs? I have so many friends who started, like she said, a small business. They're sitting at home. They order from one place. I mean, they don't even keep, there is no warehouse needed, right? So there is this new thing where you have people where they order stuff online, and then, they talk to the people who directly deliver it to their places, stuff like that. This is all digital literacy. I know one of my friends in my community, recently her bhabhi started something where they were selling all those Chinese lamps closer to Diwali. And I bought one set, and why I'm telling that is because so my daughter and my husband were in Netherlands at that time, so I sent that. My husband didn't open it, but he said, Anmol, what crap do you send me? This won't even work. I said, okay. And so I said, you just put water and let's see what happens. And then he calls me, about 2 weeks later, he says, what have you sent me? This just doesn't go off. He said, it's been there for 2 weeks. There's no way. I want to turn it off. It's not turning off. So I said, this is the magic of my friend doing business online, and I get it from her. But what I'm trying to say is, digital literacy is, like you said, the basis is that women are getting education. So we are solving a bigger problem then. Whether they can run a mobile, whether they know how to digitally, how to do digital marketing these days. Half of the marketplace is full of those people. Instagram, you get those clothes on. So my daughter, I was talking to somebody. She is a sustainability, sorry for the word, she's a sustainability freak. She's all of 18. And she doesn't wear Zara or any fast fashion. So when she doesn't wear Zara, she said, buy me clothes from Insta. I said, how do you know they're sustainable? So, and I see a lot of women, I said, we'll end up buying Fab India for you, because that's the only thing I think is sustainable today. But then I found women from very mediocre backgrounds who were selling clothes on Insta. And I've actually seen that, thanks to my daughter. So digital literacy, entrepreneurship, education, they all go hand in hand. Technology is an enabler for women. Of course, again, coming back to for anybody, men or women, but more so women, because I think we were not given the same level playing field, like Richa said. We've never been given this. And we a lot of times we confuse equality and equity. We don't understand what both mean. We say, we should be given equal rights. So I'll tell you, I saw this graphic, and I'll try and explain it if it makes sense. So there's a match happening in a stadium, and there's a boy and there's a girl who want to watch that match. The boy is tall. He just stands over that wall and he's able to see. The girl is also allowed to go and watch the match. She's short. She can't see. So now we can't say they're not treated equal. They're treated equal. They've been brought, their father brought them, said both of you can watch the match. That's equality. Equity is you put 5 stools for the girl to stand on and give her the view that she wants to have. We forget that equality and equity is different. We forget that the level playing field takes a lot more from all of us. It's not just that we take people to the school. Women go to corporates. Do we give them, somebody said, maternity, although I do not agree with what you said, ma'am, respectfully so, but I do believe that everybody needs to get a fair chance, but the fair chance has to be a full year of working. You don't need to be, maternity is not an entitlement. I'm giving birth to a child is not an entitlement to get more money. I'm already paid 6 months of maternity pay for that.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, let's make sure that women are educated enough. The moment you are educated, everything falls in line by itself.
So, Sweetie, I'll try to answer this question through a story, okay?
Okay.
So, digital literacy for entrepreneurship. Breaking this into 2 parts, rural strata and urban strata. And I'll start with urban strata. So, what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is an opportunity to monetize by solving a business problem. And so I'm talking to the women section here. So ability to monetize by solving a business problem. So digital literacy, and as Richa said, right, we don't have to be geeks and coders, right? We have to be comfortable with technology. We have to be comfortable with digital. And at least that level of exposure to all women, what they'll do, then they'll start mapping the technology to solve a business problem. Then you are comfortable with technology. So part 2 is use technology and digital awareness to grab all the resources, networking, financial opportunities, learning opportunities. So you are a step ahead. Third step is now you have the resources, you have the awareness of the technologies available, and you can solve the problem, and you are now an entrepreneur. So this is the framework for how digital literacy can encourage entrepreneurship in the urban strata. Rural strata is a different aspect, because I'm also working with an NGO for a financial literacy program, expanding to a digital literacy program, which would include digital literacy, financial literacy, and social literacy, right? So pretty 6 months round deep dive study there. Now rural literacy, digital literacy in the rural area, as all of them said, is digital literacy enables financial literacy, that enables capitalizing on all the opportunities that are available. So there are a lot of government schemes available. You can use digital platforms to become small and medium entrepreneurs. So this is how digital literacy encourages entrepreneurship and increases the economy.
Yeah, so I'll just sum up in terms of, the keywords basically which are leading to digital literacy. So it's about the e-commerce sites like Amazon or Meesho who are driving, the scale of business for women, yeah, and with minimum investment. Those are some of the technologies which are really, helping women with digital, right? Similarly, there are fintech institutions. There are government programs to drive those literacy. NGOs. For example, there are programs like She Loves Tech, Women in Tech. These are some some of the organizations who are helping women really adopt tech, get digitally savvy, get digitally literate, and show their capabilities in different domains. So that's what digital literacy is driving and making people, absolutely entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Swastika, for summarizing it. And
Yeah, because they had made all the points.
Majority of the points are really covered. And well said, Anmol and Sheetal, and covered by Swastika. Now, we are quickly moving to the next question, is how does the adoption of technology impact the broader economy? This question I would like to, ask Richa and Vibha to answer. So...
Thank you, Richa. So, as they say, if you teach a woman, you teach a village, right? So, nurturing, caring, teaching, I think this is in the blood and this is the essence of a woman. And, that's how we need to continue with the technology learning, and it's about continuous learning. And with that, I think we need to make women learn how to do strategic networking as well, along with commitment to excellence, which is also one of the traits of a woman. So if we combine all this, it is very easy to achieve the goal of increasing the percentage of women moving towards success in leadership, profession, entrepreneurship, etc. So I would like to keep it short with that.
Good. We are battling between food being served there and us trying to talk. It's a battle which is...
Some of them are hungry.
Yeah, some are winning there, but a lot are winning here. So I'm going to take the wins that I get. You talked about adoption of technology and how it impacts economy. So World Bank did a survey last year and they had a very interesting stat that they brought out. They said that if the percentage of women in the workforce, it's averaged out at around 25% right now, if it becomes 50%, India's GDP will increase by 1% with no other pieces done. That's the power of technology. If we're able to drive that adoption of women coming into our workforce, 1% increase in GDP with no other bits managed, right? So that's the power of technology. Do you all understand the word Jugaad? IIM, by the way, runs a program called Jugaad. They have a fancy word for it, but it talks about that mindset of innovation. Technology actually helps drive that. Things that we could not earlier do, technology does for us. So if tomorrow I have to sit down and craft a long HR mail, which not many people love to read, I can now go to a chat GPT or a Microsoft Copilot and say, do the work for me. Okay, I don't have to invest time doing that. How that frees me up is I get those extra 30 minutes to do something more strategic, something more intellectual. So technology comes to play. Costs have got reduced extensively. Is there anyone in the room who's never bought anything from Amazon? Our households operate on that, right? I think right from an Amazon to a OTP to my mother keeps getting me to order stuff at 10 minutes. Earlier her kitchen used to be stacked extensively. Now because you have a Blinkit delivery in 10 minutes, she has more flexibility on her. She says, I don't want to sit down and plan. I'll tell you 10 minutes before what I need. Right? It's eased life. And when you look at the economy, that's what boosts the economy. Our power to spend has increased because you have the tech capability for elements like that. Reduced cost, increased productivity, 10 hours of, or man hours or human hours of labor to 10 minutes now, right? That's 9 hours, 50 minutes saved. That's a boost to the economy if used well. I think you brought out a brilliant point on strategic networking, and if I could make a slightly biased comment here, which is not going to favor women, we are not good at networking strategically. If it is about, hey, come let's go out for even a cup of coffee, those boxes that she talked about start going in a whirlwind.
Yes,
Sometimes
absolutely.
that 10 minutes is important. And you have to create, if you were to call that me time and work time combined together, take the 10 minutes out, it'll actually boost your career extensively in the long run. Because decisions get made in those 10 minutes. Right? So that boosts the economy. Again, technology, I think it's provided so many jobs. When I did my master's and I came out, the tech boom of the BPO industry had taken over. Had it not been for that industry, so many people wouldn't have a job. And that's a fact. A lot of us over here are able to earn because there is tech space available. And in India, the tech talent is brilliant. It's opened up the world for us. There are, we as a firm, we operate in, 21 countries. We've got 50 nationalities working with us. And we are only in tech. That's all that we're doing. We're a 30,000 workforce. Had it not been for technology, economy would have taken a different spin altogether, right? So I think it's about embracing it. It's about just not shying away from it. And at times saying, I don't know it, let me learn it.
Yeah.
And that's where the economy comes into play for me.
Absolutely. Very rightly put across. And now looking at the aroma of the food coming to our way. And we are just heading towards the last question. And I will request each one of you to answer quickly in 1 minute. So looking ahead, what future technological trends do you think will be the most influential in empowering women in India? How can we prepare women to take advantage of these trends? If you can, start with.
So for me, it is the digital business transformation, digital marketing, branding, the search engine optimization, and everything happening on the social media front, which I think women can really embrace well and take advantage of.
Thank you.
For me, it's AI ML. So basically, the Gen AI bots, etc., which behave like normal human, right? They are so structured, they are so context-driven that it's going to really, change the world totally. Yeah.
Thank you.
So 2 things for me. One is definitely Gen AI, and because as a woman, it's already easing and saving a lot of time in all kinds of spheres for me. And second, very important, which we forget and neglect, is the cyber security. Because
Absolutely,
security,
yes.
especially for women, and the way it's being misused right now, the digitization is also very important.
So my answer is already given by both of them, so it's okay. But I actually believe, so I said Gen AI, so AI doesn't go hand in hand with sustainability, but I still maintain if we use it responsibly, it will benefit millions, zillions, the healthcare industry or for any industry you name it. And I fully agree with cyber security here. And for those of you who are not listening, we've hacked your already. So
They've still not heard.
no, but I think the security is a key element for all of us. So technology has to be very, very wisely used so that we are protecting our data, so that you don't get calls every day saying, ma'am, we got your number from so-and-so.
Well said, well said.
So last person to talk for a question on this when there's strategic networking happening there. All that got talked about, I'll give 2 very different aspects to it. I think one is wearable technology. So think of telehealth and technology. And when you say women benefiting from it, I think a lot of times we don't go to the doctor. Technology comes to your rescue. Look at how many steps you've taken a day. on your own self. We talked about me time. Wearable technology is me time. And I think that helps women. Telehealth, going to a practo 10 minutes versus taking 3 hours out of your schedule going to a hospital. That helps. That's technology at a button available to you. That's one. The second is this entire piece of gig economy that's coming up. That's helping women because you don't have to classically do a 10-hour job. You can be a gig worker and make a lot of money, by the way. So those two trends, while not classically technology, but technology-oriented trends, are really helping us quite a lot as women.
Yeah, the work from home, the remote working
Yes.
is really helping.
Technology, yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Great, great. So, thank you so much, all the panelists. It was really wonderful, insightful, and power-pack information. Your thoughts, especially women, how they can make use of technology, how it can ease out, and how it can help women scale themselves. Because when it comes to technology, by default, it's men, right? But I would say there are a lot of men behind these technologies which we are using today, and women as well. But it is helping us definitely to scale up to a great extent, and really appreciate your time and your inputs, your thoughts. Really appreciate. Please enjoy your dinner. Please, big round of applause for our panelists for taking out time.
I want to end by one line. I was in grade 5 when I went for my first debate competition. And I read it somewhere and I live by it. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And I've got 2 daughters. I've tried to pass it on, maybe just as an assertion that we are the superior ones, but I'd like to believe that. So always remember, we are better than everybody. Let's.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I request all the panelists, please stay back for a moment. I request Ms. Smriti Malhotra, please come forward to felicitate our panelists.